Yes, Hashem, we're up to Daf Hey. And we're beginning from Daf Dalit on mid base. You say this question, things that we take for granted that don't make a lot of sense. In other words, we begin the whole Isra of Chametz before Pesach. We begin on Erev Pesach. Why what's the source that we begin the day before? What's this again? I hope I have on Zoom. I have it, and I sent it to the site. So if you have it, I sent the Pesukim for there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different terutzim how to go ahead and answer this up. That how do you exactly know? So if you have a phone that you can, the people who are obviously on Zoom, I'm gonna put it up. But if you have a phone, right, then it would be helpful. No, well, I give you my phone. I give you my phone if you want. All right? Oh, you have it?
Rabbi, I'm taking you out of your house.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rabbi. There you go. So we have to get 2 hours.
Okay. Chas, you want to say something?
Thank you guys so much for the gift.
Then say it again.
Thank you guys. Thank you everyone who contributed to the gift.
I heard you didn't see him, but I didn't see any food.
He was in Baltimore, but he thought he was in St. Louis, so he's still hungry.
Mazel tov.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's begin. We're on. I'm gonna put the screen up. Yeah, it is. Right.
That's great.
Okay. Says we're Tan Hasam. We're up to Dalit on the base Tan Hasam. Remei Oimer. Oichlin Kol Chamesh. B'Sarfin B'Tchila Sheish. On Erev Pesach. Let's again, guys, just for brevity's sake, perfect day, 6 a.m., 12 p.m. Good. So now you'll be able to eat chametz till the 5th hour till 11. B'Sarfin B'Tchila Sheish, and you begin burning it at 12. That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Oichlin Kol Arba only up to 10. The Toilin Kol Chamesh in the 5th hour you would be able to not eat but not burn and feed to your animals. The Sarf Mitchila Sheish and you burn it at 12 at the 6th hour. So the Kuli Alma, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, they both agree that Chametz Misheish Shoyz L'Mayla Asa. That Chametz is Asa from 12 hours. I mean, this Sheish Shoyz L'Mayla from 12 o'clock. It's Asa. How do you know? If you would, a normal holiday, quote unquote, begins the night, right? No, it begins at the night. So I would say, when does the Issa Chametz begin? It begins at nighttime, the same way as the rest of Pesach begins, right? But we say, or no, it doesn't. Where do you know that from? Now you all know it, but where do you know it from, right? You all know that Chametz, everything. Where do you know that from? So this is a very, basic, Yisaitistic Gemara. You'll see from Psukim how we go ahead and ascertain that. How do you know that everything begins Erev Pesach? Everything 6 hours in the day and on. So I'm going to buy you the first answer. Trey Kroikasiv. You have 2 psukim, fellas, that seemingly are they're size for each other. They're size for each other. It says what? The pasuk says, Shivas Yamim Sa'ar Lo Yimatzi Batechem. 7 days, Sa'ar you shouldn't find in your house. So what's 7 days? Tesvav, Tezayin, starting from Tesvav, right? Now, then it says Ukasiv however, B'Yom HaRishon Tashbisu Sarim V'Techem. But the first day you should remove it. Now you just told me it can't be there. Mashma, it can't be there. Yet you're telling me on that day remove it. If you remove it, it was there. So how do you reconcile that contradiction? Okay, Tzad, it must be that it says when it says Yom Rishon, it's the rabbis arba asal beer. It must be where Yom Rishon is to go ahead and include the 6th day, that you have to get rid of it on the 6th day. Ach b'yom Rishon, it means what, the 6th day. So where does look at Rashi say? Haketz of the rabbis, Rashi 4 lines in the bottom. The al korcha chai ha Rishon Rishon koidim l'chol shiva kamar. Ubiyayim Rishon. Yes, I get it, Judah. Ubiyayim Rishon, the Rishon that precedes the 7 days. The Rishon that precedes the 7 days. On that day, Tashbisu Sorme Botechem. That's a bayis din. The Rishon does not mean the first day of Pesach. It means the day before the first day of Pesach. That's how you get it. That's how you get it. Okay, that's a bayis din. So that's the first thing on the chart. Ach b'yam Rishon l'Rabbi Yadal Yam Rishon, to be marba that what? The day before the 7 days. That's when what? That's when it begins. Okay. Fred the Gemara. Once you're going ahead and telling me it begins before the 7 days, right? Erev Pesach is a din in Pesach for sure. This is the rice of the Kedin. This is the rice of the Kedin. Now, what? That's again. You have a stira, correct? You have a contradiction, and based upon the contradiction, it can't be that it's around on Tesvav. So here's the way you translate the pasuk: Ach b'yom Rishon, on the first day before the Tesvav Pesach. What? That's what it means. That's what it means. Ach b'yom Rishon. That's what it means. That's what it means. The Torah sometimes speaks cryptically, and that's why you have mush Gemara on it, and that's the way they have to darshan it. Again, there are other people who darshan it another way. Okay, but we'll see. That's what it means. That's what it means. Okay. Now, the ema l'Rabbi Leili Chamisha Asa L'Bir. Now, it would make more sense. You're telling me that you're going before the first day, correct? So why not at night of the Tesvav? You're all sitting here saying, Rabbi Stern, you're selling me a bunch of goods. Rishon, I can talk emphatically, but that's not Pshuta Shel Mikra, right? Pshuta Shel Mikra is Yom Rishon is Tesvav, right? And it's a limud, and we'll accept it. Fred the Gemara, okay, you're going back. You're telling me you're going back. I can have it. Everything will be great. When does Tesvav begin, guys? When? At night or the day? We begin every single Shabbos begins Friday night, right? We begin at night. Good. So guess you know what Yom Rishon means? The night of the 15th, Tashbisu, get rid of the chametz. The night of the 15th, and then you won't have a problem, Sruli, right? You won't have a problem whatsoever. A Yom Rishon meaning it is the first day of Pesach. It's the 15th, and the Erev, and you'll get rid of it then, and then you won't have any questions. Why do you chuck it back to what? 6 hours earlier.
Why don't you have any questions?
Right, Shivas Yomim. So very geschmack, right? Let's continue on. The Emel Rabbis Leil Chamisha Asab Labir, the Salkadei the Chaminan Yomim Kasiv, Yomim in Leilos Loi. So I would say, guys, Shivas Yomim, Shiva. Right, the pasuk says Shivas Yomim Sa'ar Lo Yimatze V'Teichem, meaning during the day of 7, but the night before you could, right? That's why Dov Shivas Yomim, but Laila Einachinami, you could have Sa'ar, and there's a mitzvah of Tashbisu then when you have that Sa'ar. Again, I can say again, you have a stira. You have a stira, right? So it's very geschmack. If I go ahead and say I'm going to begin the night, I'm going to begin at the night. That's Yom Rishon. That's the first day of Pesach at night. We eat matzahs that night. It's the first day of Pesach, right? It's good. And that night you'll be makayim the pasuk. Yom Rishon Tashbisu. Now, why? So your question. If the day begins at night, it says Shivas Yomim. So lo yimas v'teichem Yomim in Leilos Loi. And night it could be found.
So now you're saying you can have hummus, and while you're eating the matzah, you can have hummus around. That's
Yeah, exactly. Tashbisu. Before you eat your chametz, tashbisu. Before you eat your matzah, tashbisu. Again, the problem is we all come from.
No.
Again, please do not look at the man sitting there. Now. Anyway, so you hear, guys. So this would fit. This would fit like a glove. It's not a stira. You're getting rid of it on the first day of Pesach, Tesvav. Again, here's the problem. You all know the answer to this, but you don't know why. You know the answer, but you don't know why. And I got a little itty bitty card here. 6 reasons why, right? 6 reasons why. So now, it's Kamash Malon that you could get at night, that you can't have it at night. For Emil Rabbi Leila Chamisha Asa, Asakli Min Ksiv Yom Min Leila Soy Kamash Malon. I feel Leilas. Says Gemara Hahula Yisrichalei. I would not need the pasuk to teach me, right? No, the pasuk is teaching me that you don't do it at night. But how do you know during the the pasuk is teaching me? It says Gemara, I wouldn't need that. Hahula Yisrichalei. Why? Guys, three steps. 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. You make a hekesh from the removal of sa'ar to eating chametz, and you make a hekesh from the eating chametz to the eating of matzah. So A, B, and C. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Good. That's what we're saying now. So iskish hashvasa sa'ar lachilas chametz. We make a hekesh between what hashvasa sa'ar, the removal of sa'ar lachilas chametz, to eating chametz. Lachilas chametz lachilas matzah. Now we're bringing the psukim. Hashvasa sa'ar lachilas chametz tichsiv shivas yamim sa'ar lo yimatzi v'teichem. Why? Ki kol oichel machmetzes v'nichrasa. So anyone you see in the pasuk, it says 7 days you shouldn't find in your house anyone who eats machmetzes. So you have to remove. You can't have it. Sa'ar should not be found in your house because anyone who eats chametz will get kares. So the Hekesh made a relationship between achilas chametz and getting rid of sa'ar. One, but now one more step. Don't jump the gun. Achilas chametz, achilas matzah. Ichsiv kol machmetzes lo sochelu. Right, the gini and chametz, the chomosh v'sechem, and all your residences. Toichel mash v'sechem toichel matzahs. Because siv bebe matzah, the erev toichel matzahs. Right, the erev toichel matzahs. So guys, geschmack. Good. Watch. There's a mitzvah to eat matzah at night, and the time you eat matzah, you can't eat chametz. And since you can't eat chametz, you can't have sa'ar around. So obviously, it can't be the 15th at night. It must be the 14th during the day.
When we start Ka'ela in 1430.
Huh?
When we start the Ka'ela already.
Only one part of it started.
Only the mitzvah. Again, it's not Yontif yet, guys. The mitzvah of Tashbisu is on Yontif. That's it. The mitzvah of Tashbisu is on Yudalit. The mitzvah of Tashbisu is on Yudalit. So this is a Bayashita. Achbi Amisha and Larabis Yudalit. And we just had a question if you're including Yudalit. Why include Yudalit? Go to Tesvav, and it'll be easier. All the psukim will shtim. No, it can't. We had a half a mina, but a maskana. There's no way of just. Can you imagine? You have the matzah on one end, and you bring the chametz in the backyard. It's right. So kamash malon, that why, and now you know why, right? It's a 3-step process. You make removal of chametz to eat, removal of sa'ar to eating chametz to matzah. So therefore, if matzah can eat chametz, the mele can't have sa'ar. What?
That's the only yontif they have a situation.
This is unique. Yeah, Pesach is. Listen, I ended yesterday's shift. Think about it. With sa'ar. So think about what's involved in chametz, guys. There's an issa achila. There's an issa hana. There's a din of tashbisu. There's a din of bayura. There's a din of bayim matzah. It's unbelievable what chametz is. It's unbelievable. And there's an issa karas if you eat it. During the year, if you could afford it, you go to pizza time. Right? Yeah, here you go. You get it. It's geschmack. You eat it if you eat it on pay. Sorry. Listen. This is true. So anyway, but bottom line is, you go in, you're hungry, and you say, "L'shem yichud, I'm eating to go ahead and make my body fortified so I can learn in Torah." And you take a nice hot slice, and you eat nice hot slice. I know, I never done. I take a smell and it's all over. And it's take a nice hot slice and you eat it. You get a mitzvah.
Charge extra now for pizza with the Shabbat.
And you get.
Anything religion's out with right?
And you get
The best idea this year. Come on.
And you get a mitzvah. And you get a mitzvah. If you eat it on Pesach, you get paris. So obviously it's really yankel. It's a mamish. It's a mishunidik mitzvah. Yes, ma'am. Okay, hang in there. Okay, so let's see the Gemara now. Says the Gemara.
According to the man we said yesterday, we're not sure if you need tashbisu.
No, bittul is tashbisu. Rashi and the Rambam, right?
That you're doing it delayed.
But yeah, they're saying that you do it belayed, right?
So how does the shtim with places then?
What?
How does the shtim then?
Ask Aaron. There's a din about your matzah. The bittul, like Toysfist.
I missed.
Oh yeah, okay. Like Rashi. This is what I said. Like Rashi, bittul takes over tashbisu. Like Toysfist takes over the value by your matzah. It's a whole different din. It's two separate dinim. Toysfist holds tashbisu has to be physical, so you can't do it. So what does bittul accomplish? Accomplish it takes care by your matzah. Okay, you're going to enter Pesach this year. By the time we get there, you'll forget all this already. But by the time we get there, you'll like it'll be at least you will have not been toying tam of chametz. Now says the Gemara. So now, Fred the Gemara kasha, the emel rabbis leil yudalid lebir. Now, so once you're going back, why don't you go back to the night? No, it's the Bedika night. Why don't you get rid of it then? No, you said there's an inclusion over here. You only included the day to go ahead and say. You can't eat chametz during the day, correct? Why don't you say go back? Once you're going back, go back. Go back to the Yudalit at night. On that, the Gemara answers, b'yom kasiv. It says, ach b'yom arishain, b'yom is mashma the day. The ema mitzafra, Mendy's question. So let's say, not really your question. Let's say it's, okay, the day, let's say not 6 hours in the day. Let's say earlier on in the day you shouldn't be able to eat it. Not 6 hours in the day. Earlier on in the day you shouldn't be able to eat it. Mitzafra says the Gemara, ach b'yom arishain, ach cholak. Ach goes ahead and makes it's rak is a mir. In other words, I take the day and I'm a mayat part of the day, not the whole day. Not the whole day. I'm a mayat part of the day. Ach b'yom rishon on the 14th day. Ach, half the day you could eat and half the day you can't. So therefore you know that from 6 hours and on, you're good.
Making machal, like what you're saying, it's machal. Half you're saying it's quartering it up yet.
No, we're having it. We're having it up. We're having it up. The kasha is why don't you say the whole day is us from the morning? Okay. You have ach. Ach means that what? That has to be part of the day that you could eat. Now Rashi brings a gematria, fellow. It's a very interesting gematria. You know that there's different. The Pnimius Torah. There's atbash. We had it in Kuf Dalit in Shabbos. Do you remember we had a Gemara, Gimel Dalit, why the Gimel is facing the Dalit is embarrassed and the Gimel is running towards him. Make believe. You go, yeah, we remember. Yeah, make believe. Go bobblehead. Yeah, we remember, sure. Okay. No, it's a Hasidic Gemara. So it's a weird Gemara. Anyway, that Gemara, it says that, if you look at Rashi quickly, it says that Dalit, Aleph, the letters Aleph, Ches, Samech. So an Aleph can become a Ches can become a Samech. But a base can become a Tes, and a Tes can become an Ayin. Gimel Yud Pei. A Gimel can become a Yud, Yud can become a Pei, and Dalach of Tzadik, a Dalach can become a Chav, and Chav and Tzadik. So if you take the word Ach is a Ches, and what? And a Chav is a Tzadik, so it becomes Chetz. So therefore, it's Rashi says that's how Ach is Chatz. It's here. It's here. So there we have a limud now. Okay, so our first limud, guys, is what? Is complete. Guys, our first limud is complete. That is what? That's the limud of Abaya, Ach b'yom rishon. The rishon is Marba Yudalid, asking questions back and forth. We're good. You ask questions back and forth. We're totally good. That it is the 6 hours in the day and not what? Not the night of Tesvav and not the night of Yudalid. Everything works. Second opinion. The Bay Rabbi Shmuel Tana, Yeshiva Rabbi Shmuel learns, Matzina Yudalid, we find Yudalid, Shenikra Rishon. We find Yudalid that is called Rishon. In other words, the Rishon means Yudalid, no limud. Rishon means Yudalid. Where do you see that? It says, Berishon, Be'arba Asa Yoim Lachaydesh, Be'erev Toichlu Matzos, correct? Berishon, guys, on Rishon, on the 14th day Lachaydesh, the erev of the evening to Matzah. So it says Rishon Babasa. So we say that clearly. It's so therefore what? This seems to be the easiest thing. It says Rishon. In other words, once you find Rishon in one place, it's called Arba Asa. Therefore, we could say Ach b'yom Rishon Tashbisu Sarva V'Teichem is also speaking the 14. Rishon equals 14. So now, just like in this pasuk, Rishon is 14. In the pasuk, Ach b'yom rishon equals 14. Now, guess what?
So you're gonna have to cut the date off.
No, we don't. You don't need it. You don't have to come out with it. You don't have to cut the date.
why, then
You think-
why not from one?
Oh yeah, no,
Why
yeah,
just
yeah.
walk it down?
Enochinam. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, a third opinion. It said Berishain de Meikara Mashma. He says it says the word Harishain. Guys, the Halkop. When it says Harishain, the Hay teaches me the day before Rishain. Ach b'yom Harishain, the day before Rishain, meaning Yodalid, because Rishain is Tesvav. Again, this is Rishain Tesvav. Ach b'yom Harishain, the day before Meikara, meaning the day before Tesvav, Yudalid, that's when Tashbisu Sam Vatechem. That's when you go ahead and get rid of the chametz. So that's what Nachma Yitzchak. We're going to question that, guys. You got it? The Omakra. Where do you see that Arisha means from before? So the friend of Eir said to him, Harisha and Adam Tivaled, right? Harisha and Adam Tivaled. Did you come before Adam? So what does Harisha mean? Harisha. Harisha before Adam. I mean, no one came before Adam. But you see, the implication is that Harisha is from before. The implication is that Harisha is from before. Okay, so now that's what Nachman says. Harisha is before. Okay, so now we're going to question that. We're going to attack that. In other words, we're going to find Harisha in other venues, and we're going to ask on each one. We're going to ask on each one. Elamayata, that you tell me that Harisha means before. It says V'lakachtem lechem hayom harishayin. What does it say by Sukkot? By Lulav? You should take for yourself on the first day. Creates hada, v'kapis tamarim, anafetz oros, v'arvei nachal. You take the 4 minim. Now, according to that means you're going to take on the 14th day of Tishrei. Guys, you're telling me Harisha means before. So let's translate. Let's take that formula and stick it in the pasuk. V'lakachtem lechem, and you should take for yourself v'yom harishayin. B'yom harishayin on Yom Harishayin, meaning the day before 15, on your Dalet Tishrei, you should take Lulav and Esrei? Of course you don't. You only take on the 15th. So how can you tell me that Harishayin means some before? Hachanami Rishon Meikara Mashma? No, I have a teretz for that. Shiny Hasam, it's different over there. Dichsev, Yishamachtem L'fnei Hashem Elokeichem, you should be Sameach in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shivas Yomim for 7 days, Mashvi Shvi L'chag, just like the Shvi is the Shvi of the Chag, Afrishan Rishon L'chag. In other words, there's a waiver. My rule is ironclad. Harisha means before. However, since you see that by Sukkot you got a Rishon and a Shvi, and clearly Shvi means the 7th day of Sukkot, so Rishon means the 1st day of Sukkot. So my rule is good, but I have a way out over here, a loophole to tell me that you don't apply it. Because it says Shvi, and just like Shvi is the last day of Sukkot, Rishon means the 1st day of Sukkot. It doesn't mean the day before. Oh, hang in there. It has to say Harishon. It has to say Harishon. Now we're going to ask from Pesach. Says the Gemara, Hachanami Ksiv, Fred the Gemara, Ach b'yom Harishon Tashbishay Shivas Yomim Matzos Tochelo. So now it says on the B'yom Harishon you should remove. It says Shivas Yomim Matzos Tochelo. Avrami's question. It says, guys, it says Shivas Yomim, correct? So you have the same raya from Sukkot that Harishon should not mean from before. It should mean the 1st day. And Kei Nichtav Karishon. Then it should just say Rishon. What is Harishon? Lamali Shmami Lo L'Chidam Maron. Therefore, it says what? L'Chidam Maron, like we said, from before. So the extra hay tells me from before. Fred Gemara Hachi Hasanami Harishon Lamali. You didn't gain anything. What does it say by Sukkot, guys? Harishon. So back to the original question. You're telling me the hay is what does it makes it from before. By Lulav, it also says Harishon. Hachi Hasanami Harishon Lamali. The Su Hasan by Lulav. Dichsiv b'yom Harishon Shabbosin u'bayom Hashmini Shabbosin. On the 1st day you should rest, and on the 8th day you should rest. Ema Rishon de Meikar Mashma. Maybe it means it should be kodesh on your Dalid. If you tell me a Rishon means from before, and a Rishon is a limud, so by Sukkot also, you should go ahead and say what? That a Rishon means what? Your Dalid. It says, my shiny Hasan. No, it's different over there. Damakro, ubayom hashmini, Shabbosin, mashmini, shmini l'chag, just like shmini means the 7th day, 8th day of the Chag, af Rishon, Rishon the Chag. Now, Harishon Lamali. So what do you need Harishon for? Okay, so now you're telling me. Guys, what does Harishon usually mean? Before. Right. It means before. By Pesach, it means before. By Sukkot, it doesn't mean before. Why doesn't it mean before by Sukkot? Because we say 7 days, right? And they say 8 days. Good. So now, what's the Rishon coming to teach me? It should just say Rishon. What's the Rishon? Lemute Chol Shel Moed, that there's no din of Shvisa on Shabbos and on Chol Moed. Say the Gemara, you need a Rishon for that? Chol Shel Moed may Rishon is Shmini Nafkod. You learn from the fact that it says day 1 and day 8. What's Shabbos on? Rishon. What's Shabbos on? 8. What's not? The middle, right? The middle. Says the Gemara, Salkadat Raminon. Ha'Itzrich, Salkadat Raminon. Ha'il de Kasach Mano, Uvayoim Hashmini. It says Vav. So I would say the previous days before that are connected. We have Ma'asav Alin and Rishon, that feel b'chol shel moed. You won't be able to do malacha. Kamashvan Harishon, that what? Kamashvan Harishon, that what? That you could do malacha.
My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
You're stirring the share. Guys, so let's get this straight. Guys, look at me. You need the hay of Harishon for what? To tell me you can't work on Chol Hamoed. To tell me, tell me that Chol Hamoed is not a Kodesh like the other days. Good? Why would you think it is Kodesh the other days? Because you have a Vav by Uvayom Hashmini. Good? So the Vav by Yom Hashmini is a Riboy that I need a hay to go ahead and exclude. How now if you take out the Vav, how do you take out the Riboy? You don't need the Niyat. In other words, I'm only using that is because you instituted a Vav over there, right? Without the Vav, I wouldn't need the hay. So Fred the Gemara, you tell me a Rishon is to go ahead and say Chol Shel Moed, you could work. It's not why. Why would you think? Because there's a passage that you think you can't work. The Vav says you can't work. The hay says you could work. Don't say the Vav, I wouldn't need the hay. That's what the Gemara asks. Fred the Gemara, Ushmini Vav Ma'aseh Rishon, that feel b'chazron, Kamash Malon. Fred the Gemara, V'leichta v'rachman loy Vav. Don't write the Vav. V'lei hay, and I wouldn't need the hay. That's one kasha. V'su hasam dechsiv by Yom HaRishon Mikra Kodesh Yelachem. By Pesach it says by Yom HaRishon Mikra Kodesh Yelachem. Rishon the Mikar Mashma means, and here it's not Tashbisu. So finally, you got a problem. I asked you questions, Rav Nachman, on your Yesoid. I asked you from Chol Hamoed. I asked you now for Pesach. So what's the story? And for the Gemara, your Yesoid is still in place. Harishon is what? Harishon is means the day before. And the 3 places you asked from Lulav, Sukkah, and Pesach, I'm going to use for something else. That's the teretz. In other words, Rav Nachman held serve. Rav Nachman held serve. On the chart, it says Rav Nachman, he held serve. The fact that what? Harishon means Meikara. You got 3 Harishons. Sukkah, Lulav, and Pesach. I'm going to use that for something else. And therefore, I'm good. What? Elahani Shloisha Rishon Miboile. These 3 things we said. Rishon Miboile Chetani Rabbi Shmuel. We need for the Tana Rabbi Shmuel, but Einach Hinami, and we'll bring in a second, but Einach Hinami, the Yisoid is true. Ubayom HaRishon, Ach B'Yom HaRishon Tashbisu is going on the day before. Now, the Tana Rabbi Shmuel, B'schar Shloisha Rishon, in the schar of 3 Rishon, Zachal Shloisha Rishon. We're Zaycha to 3 Rishon. What's the 3 Rishon? Lahach Rizar Shal Esav, 2 Lebinyan Beis HaMikdash, 3 L'Shmoy Shal Mashiach. Let's go over them. Lahach Rizar Shal Esav, Yechsiv, Vayetze HaRishon Admoni, and Pashas told us, Esav came out, HaRishon Admoni. There it is, guys. Right? So the Rishon of Esav, we need the Rishon to overcome that. Kula Kader Seir, totally like a hairy coat. Lebinyan Beis HaMikdash, Yechsiv, Kisei Kavod Maroim, May Rishon Makam Midoshenu. It says Rishon. Well, the Shmoy Shal Mashiach, Tichsiv, Rishon Letzion, Hine Hinam. That Rishon Letzion, Hine Hinam are here. So therefore, Keneged those 3 things is destroying the Esav, Binyan Beis HaMikdash, and Shmoy Shal Mashiach are the Lulav, Sukkah, and Pesach, and Memela the Harishon works, and therefore, okay. So let's go over what we held till now. Let's see what we until now. What's that question? How do you know, in fact, that 6 hours in the day? How do you know 6 hours in the day? Erev Pesach is when you have to get rid of the chametz. How do you know that? So the first Rabbi says, "Ach b'yam rishon," and we said rishon. We said it's a riboy for that. How do you know not the morning? So ach goes ahead, you divide the day. We had the Tana of Rabbi Yishmael said openly, "Barishon barba asa yon lachodesh." So we see the rishon can mean arba asa. Therefore, when it says ach b'yam rishon, it means what? Arba asa. We have a Nachum Yitzchak when it says harishon, it means the day before rishon. So the day before Tesvav, you Yudalid, you go ahead what and you burn the chametz. You get rid of the chametz. Those are our 3 shittas that we saw so far. We will see 2 more. We'll see 2 more. Let's see it inside. Okay. Rava Amar, Rava says Mehacha. Says Rava is the one that makes the most sense to me. Mehacha. Leisishchayt al chametz dam zivchi. You can't shecht chametz dam zivchi. You can't shecht on chametz the dam of my zevach. What does that mean? Leisishchad haPesach va'adayin chametz kayim. You can't shecht the korban Pesach if chametz is still in this world. What? That's going right here. We just did that, you know. Yeah, it's the other place. Yeah, right. By George. You got it. There you go. So obviously, if you shech the korban Pesach, it has to be that you got rid of the chametz before then. When do you shech the korban Pesach, guys? In the afternoon, when it begins bein arba'im, when it begins to go. So obviously, 6 hours in the day, places bring 6, 7 hours a day, and it really should be a little later because the korban tamid is. You can't bring anything after the korban tamid. So except you can't shech the Pesach till the korban tamid is brought. The bottom line is it's a great raya. Good. In other words, you can't have chametz around in the afternoon. It can't be there. Now you don't need the ach. It can't be there. If I'm shechting a korban, if you're getting your lamb chops at the night, right? No chametz, right? Good. This is geschmack, right? This is guys. Yeah, this seems to be straightforward. You know why? It doesn't handle with the rishon at all, right? You avoid the semantics of rishon meaning the 15th day, so it makes it's very geschmack.
Now you don't even ask what about it.
Right. I mean, you're right. You're
not reaching. It's right there.
What? No, it's right there. I mean, that's Rava. Rava mehacha. Okay, that's Rava. Fred Gemara. One second. Not everyone chefs at the same time. So if you're telling me you can't have it around when you chef, so you chef in this early. Every person would have a different zman, right? Different zman. So why do you say all universal from 6 hours in the day, right? L'chayra, if it depends, as long as I'm shechting my korban and it's not there, I'm good. So I'm shechting my korban 8, 9 hours into the day, so I can have my chametz around for 8, 9 hours in the day. And for the Gemara is man shchita on Machmana. When it says we make the Torah doesn't go ahead and make individual laws for people. We said at a time, it's not speaking about you shechting, it's speaking this man when you could shech. It's speaking about this man when you could shech. Tani nami hachi, we have a brisa that's right to Rava. Ach b'yam harishon tashpisu samei latechem me'erev yontif.
The kasha was every different time zones, or the people do it.
You have to shech in the Beis Hamikdash. You have to shech in the Beis
You only have a certain window. That's it. How many hours? It's only 2 hours.
I'm glad everyone got his name Rabbi. Now, so we're going to see Bez Hashem. There were different shifts. For the Korban Pesach. They brought him in. The Korban Pesach was the most glorious scene. You can't imagine it. I'll describe it to you when we get there. It was unbelievable.
He was there.
He wasn't.
Big hip boots.
Huh? No hip boots. You can't.
Big boots of the hip.
No, you can't. Chatzitza. The Gemara has the kasha. In fact, how could they do the avodah if the blood is in between their feet and the ritzpah? They're going to say there are little platforms there, right? But the scene was unbelievable. You had a lot of everyone had right? It was amazing. I only got a kazayas. You eat the korban Pesach on the soiva. You eat the korban Pesach on the soiva, and you eat the korban Pesach. You have to be mamana. You have to be counted in. So you wouldn't shecht one gedi for during Corona time. We'd have problems. If I'm getting there, but you end up at the Pesach Seder with one, not for you, but you like goats. Oh, a shepsel. You don't end up with a shepsel. A shepsel. A shepsel.
Okay, give you a nice piece, don't worry.
A lamb chops, right? Okay, you had a little piece.
Stern.
Okay, sound good. That's a very good schmack. So now, says the Gemara, here's the raya. Maybe it means on the 15th day itself. Guys, good? Geschmack. Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva says, ain't it tzarech? You don't need it. Tell me, there's no way in the world you can have chametz around the 15th. It doesn't work. Why? Because it says, Ach b'yom harishon tashbisam v'tetechem. Good. Ukesiv, it says, Kol melacha loy yaseh bohem. Fellas, you can't do work on Yom Tov. Now, if you would go ahead and have to burn chametz, what would you have to do? You'd have to light a fire and burn it. Now you're going to say that you can burn on, you're allowed to use a fire on Yom Tov. That's only for tzorech. Rabbi Kiva holds shaloi l'tzorech, you can't. So in Mela, I can figure out there's no way in the world I can go ahead and burn chametz. I can't burn chametz on Pesach on Tesvav because it's usher to go ahead and do it on Tesvav. So in Mela, it has to be Yudali. Yes.
You have to burn to be tashbisa. I thought any way you do it is.
So obviously, Rabbi Yehuda holds like
He's right, just removal.
he's right. Just 1 second.
Okay.
You may know about Greek things with the keys. Leave this to me, okay? There's a machlokes how to get rid of chametz. Rabbi Akiva learns from Noiser. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Like you learn from Noiser, just like Noiser is burnt, so too chametz has to be burnt.
Get rid of it from the world.
Again, there's a machlokes. There's no other opinion. You can go ahead. It's Mefazer, B'Soyer, L'Ruach. You can go ahead. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. And the Gemara says otherwise. No, says the Gemara, right? Okay. So again, so the very geschmack. The Gemara is going to make this diak on the Yom base. So very geschmack, Rabbi. Also, we're avoiding any achs, any rishons. It's clean, right? It's clean if you hold that you don't say hoyel. You don't say hoyel, right? If you say hoyel, you got a problem, right? Okay. So therefore, that's Rabbi Akiva Shita. Rabbi Yossi Hagalili Omer. Ain't it tzarech? You don't need Rabbi Akiva's limud. How do you Omer? Ach b'yom harishon tashbisam v'tetechem. May erev yontif. It means on erev yontif. Ayin eli yontif. Maybe yontif. Tamad leimar. Ach chalak. V'yi b'yontif atzmai mi shari. Guys, ach is to divide, correct? Good. So it's on the 15th day. What would it mean? It's on the 15th day that you're going to divide the day on yontif. Everyone holds you can't have it. So obviously it must be erev yontif. Ach is a division. You're dividing the day. So you want to know if it says Yom Rishon that it can't, now you know it came in the 15th day, since you have to divide the day, on Yom Tov you can't divide the day and say that half the day you eat chametz, half the day you can't. So in Mele, you know that what? You know that it's not. Okay, let's see the chart. Let's go over the different sheet. We'll chazer over. You know, let's finish up and then we'll chazer over. What do you mean?
Rashi said that Tashbisa was just not shop, right?
Correct.
So you don't have to actually have an act of kindling the fire first.
Again, based upon the Ran, it does work. Based upon, you can do one or the other, right? Based upon the Ran, you could do one or the other. Okay. Anyway, let's finish the Gemara and then we'll chaza. Now, so therefore, you can't divide. From the Kiva guys, we have 3 dinim. Shmamina. Ein bir chametz ela sreifa, right? Chaim, Aaron, right? Only sreifa. That's one thing. Very good. Shmamina havaru lechalik yatzas. Okay, I'll be back in a second with this. Shmamina lo yamin hayol b'hutra havaru litzayrich hutra lami shaloi litzayrich. On Yontif, we do things because we say hayol, meaning since I could do it for this, I do it for something else. Rabbi Akiva holds. The only thing you can do it for is Eichel Nefesh. Do you carry on Yontif? You carry on Yontif, right? You carry things on Yontif that we say Hoyel, right? Hoyel for this, you go for this. Good. So Rabbi Kiva says the following: you're able. Of course you can go ahead and cook on Yontif. Of course you can start a fire on Yontif to cook. Yeah, but You can't go ahead and have a havara, a fire for something that is not necessary. Of course, obviously he says you can't go ahead and burn your chametz on Yontif, so we can infer that also. Now, we also said that what havara burning must come and not be allowed. Now, what's the pshat? He says in the Lashon, guys, look at Lashon Rabbi Akiva. So he is calling havara an av malacha. We find that havara is an av malacha. So if it's an av malacha, we can't do it. Now, outside, guys, outside. This comes up in Shas more than once. It comes up a few times. It says in the Torah by Shabbos, kol malacha lesasu. Can't do any malacha. Kol malacha lesasu. That's it. No ifs, ands, and buts. And then it says, you can't light a fire in any of your residences. Isn't lighting a fire a malacha? When it says kol malacha lesasu, you shouldn't do any malacha. Isn't lighting fire a malacha? Yes, correct. So why is lighting a fire taken out of the rule of kol malacha? Why is it taken out? So we have a machloikis. One person says to tell me that it doesn't have the same stringencies as the other of its malachas. What's the chiyah for other malachas? Yechayev karis edim without asra, and yechayev for edim asra yechayev skila. For lighting a fire, you get malchus. So it's taken out of the rule because it's not part of the rule. But then it's not an av malacha. An av malacha you get skila for, you get karis for. If this you're getting malchus for, it's not an av malacha. So if it is an av malacha, you know what it means? That the reason it's taken out of the rule is the chalik, to teach me that you shouldn't think that if you're over a few malachas, you're chayiv only once. It's the chalik, that you're chayiv on each and every one. So you can be over 39 rather than one. So it comes the chalik. The reason why it's taken out of the rule, that just like this is taken out of the rule, each individually is a separate malacha. And therefore, that's what we see. When he called it on malacha, we see that then. Okay, so let's chazariba. Let's go over the different shittas over here. Why? In fact, we know that from 6 hours in the day, right? So the first shitta was the shitta of Abaya. Abaya had, it says ach b'yom harishayin. We said Rishon constantly mabri yadalid. We asked the kasha, maybe it means the night. We said a hekesh to sa'or, to achilas chametz, and achilas matzah. It can't be. Tana Rabbi Shmuel, Rishon b'arba'asa yom l'chaydesh. He calls Rishon arba'asa. It's mamish called arba'asa directly. Third shita was of Nachman by Yitzchak. This was the Rishon, the extra hay. Actually makes it from before. We had many kashas on it. What are you going to do with lulav? What are you going to do with sukkah? What are you going to do with Pesach? We said we're going to use them for showing Esav and building Beis Hamikdash and Shemay Shel Mashiach. We're using the Rishon, and it stood. That stood in place. There was a lot of kashas on it, but it stood in place. Rav is din like Sishcha al Chometz al Dam Zivchi. You can't shech. How can you possibly have it around? So since you shech the Korban Pesach after Bein Arbayim, it must be you got rid of the Chometz Bein Arbayim, right? Rabbi Akiva's then it says ach b'yom rishon tashbusam v'techem and kol malacha liyaseh b'chem. So therefore, obviously, if it's a malacha, you would not be able to burn your chametz, get rid of your chametz on Pesach. Why? Because he holds the only way to get rid of chametz, guys, is what? Burning. 2, he says burning the shleidet tzarech is aser, and 3, he holds it's an av malacha. So in the meilubat, it can't be that you do it on the 15th. It must be you do it earlier. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says. He says that ach is it says that ach chalak is dividing, and if it's on Yontif itself, you can have a division, right? Why? Because you can't have it around at night. You can't have it around. You can't have chametz around at night because you have to eat your matzah. So in the mail, it can't be that it's on the 15th day because you won't be able to divide the day.
Same as fire?
What? Yeah, similar. No, Abaya learns it from Rishon. That was a question we had on Abaya. Okay, let's continue. Okay, very, very intense stuff. Okay, there's 2 psukim we're going to darshan, guys. The first one is Shivas Yomim Sa'or Lo Yimatzi B'Techem. There's this Bal Yimatzi. Now notice it doesn't say Lecha. It says Shivas Yomim Sa'or Lo Yimatzi B'Techem. 7 days Sa'or you should not find in your house. Another pasuk says Lo yirah lecha chametz, lo yirah lecha sa'ar b'chol gevulecha. Now there it says two things. It says gevulecha, and it says lecha, lo yirah lecha. So we have an extra lecha. So what the Gemara is going to do now is go through the why. Then what does one teach me that the other one doesn't, and what does the other one teach me that the other one doesn't? And then we're going to have a gezer shava to mix them together like a chalent. That all the chumras that are said by both. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And this is a discussion I have with my chavusa today about someone goes ahead and hides something that if you don't see it, so it's not yours. We're going to see that that's us also. Okay, Issa Bayi Rabbi Yimatzah. Says the Gemara, Tan Rabbanan. Shivas Yomim Sola Yimatzah V'Teichem V'Teichem. Ma Tamad Loimar. But like if I never, it says Lo Yirah Lecha Sa'ar Lo Yirah Lecha Chametz B'Chol Gevulecha. Now a bias is in your gevul, guys, right? A bias is in your in the Yiddish word is grenitz. It's in your grenitz. They didn't teach you that in Syria, in Aleppo. They said what? Grenitz. Grenitz. Harold, the grenitz. Ashley's nodding his head. A grenitz means a border. I went to the yeshiva. They touched in Yiddish. I didn't understand what they're saying. What? Grenitz. The grenitz around the pizza crust was very high. No, the boundary. You went up to the grenitz, and then the tchum.
When you suck into the country.
Okay. Okay, weiter. Says the Gemara. Tamalayma. So it says, Batechem. It says Gulecha. So why do you need Batechem if you said Gulecha? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Fishanemar, it says La Yirah Lecha Sa'ar, right? It says the word Lecha. Now I would dash in the following. Shalcha Iyataroya. When it says Lecha, I would say you can't see Avlataroya Shalacherim, but you could see others, which is true. The Shal Gavoya, or if it's let's say we're going to get into this, but tomorrow if it's Hegdish or Bedek Habayis, there was something was Hegdish and Bedek Habayis, you could also see. So therefore, since the whole Issa of Bal Yirah is on Lecha, and you're able to see others, so I might think the following. Yochel Yatmin, so I'll go ahead, I'll hide it, I won't see it, right? I won't see it. Or Vayikav Pikdonis Min Nachri, I'll accept Pikdonis Min Nachri, and that's somebody else's. I can see somebody else's, right? A Pikadon. Pikadon, it's like a packages. Yochel Yikav Pikdonis Min Nachri, Hamad Loimar, it says, Lo Yimatze. So Lo Yimatze teaches now. By Yimatze, guys, it doesn't say anything about seeing, and it doesn't say anything about yours. So therefore, I'm excluding those two. In other words, I can't have chametz in my rishus that's not mine, right? The nachris, and even though I can't see it, it can't be found by me. So I can't go ahead, Rod. I can't hide something. I can't hide something. So that's what I learned from Yimatze. Now, Ainli Ella ben Nachri. Now this doesn't make any sense, but we'll have to review it tomorrow. Ainli Ella ben Nachri shlei kivrashtoi. I would think this law is only by a Nachri that you don't have jurisdiction over. The Ein Shoyim Chabachatzin doesn't live with you. In other words, then since it's not yours, Nachri shekivashtoi v'shoyim Chabachatzin minayin tamalayim lo yimatzi batechem. So it's the opposite. The Nachri that lives by you, that you have jurisdiction over, is mashma. It's more your mammon, right? So it's more of a reason. It's more of a reason to be asa than mutter. It's more reason to be asa than mutter. And here, apparently, you're saying it's more of a svar to be mutter. Ainli ela sheba batechem. That's only the chametz is in my house. What about the boris b'sifim oris? If it's hidden in water, cisterns, and the like, minayin tamalayma, we learn b'chol gevulecha and any of you gevulim. So now, on one hand, I learn out from a halacha of you can't take pigdainos, you can't hide chametz from the yimatzei, and from batechem I learn out what? I learn a baris sichim oiris. It says b'chol gevulecha. Now, ba'adayin ani oimer b'batim oivim mishum bal yirah bal yimatzeh ubal yatmin ubal yikal pigdainos min anachri. Okay, so that's what I learned out from the pasuk of b'chol gevulecha. Now, b'gevulecha shalcha yataraya. Now, no, that's what I learned out from by Yimatzei. B'gvulecha shalchoya teroya. When the pasuk of Gevulim lo yiroya, I can see. You also can't see. Avateroya shalachirim mishal gavoya. Now, minayin liten es omer shal zeh bezeh shal zeh bezeh. How do I know that the din of Bal Yirah applies by Yimatzeh and the din of Bal Yimatzeh applies by Yirah? How do I know to go ahead and put those two together? How do I know to go ahead and say the chumras of both should go together? So again, one more time. Vadayin ani omer, but bottom loiv mishum Bal Yirah by Yimatzeh. In the house, I'm loiv Bal Yirah by Yimatzeh because it said what? Because the bottom are in the category of gevul, and therefore what? The two churmis are together. Ubal yatmin. It doesn't say you can see it. Ubal yikalu pigdoinos, and then they're not mine. That's why we learn one pasuk. But gvulim, when it says lo yirlecha, we darshan shalchoya teroya avateroya shalachirim v'shal gavoyim. Minayin litin es omer shal zeh. The chumra of bottom. How could I know to apply b'gvulin? That it should be asa in lahatmin in the gevulin and to become pigdoinos. V'shal zeh bezeh. The kula of gevulin that shalchoya teroya avateroya shalachirim. How do you know that's like button? A and B, right? You have din 1 by A and din 2 by B. How do you know A has 2 and B has 1? How do you know? So by one was an Issa, one was a Heta, right? The din of Hatamana was Asa, the din of Victorinus was Asa. The din of seeing other people's is a Heta. But the din of seeing others is only said by Gevulcha. How do I know to apply it to Bottom, right? And the din of Bottom taught me the din of Hatamana and Victorinus. How do I know to apply it to Gevlecha? How do you know to go either which way? Tamaloimer, it says Sar l'Gzeir Shava. It says Sar, which is Gzeir Shava. Where do we see that? What is Gzeir Shava? It says Nemasar bebatim, Solo Yimatzi Vatechem, V'nemasar begavulim, Lo Yirol Chasar, Masar Omer bebatim. Oiva Mishum Ba Yirol Ba Yimatze, you're over the Tulavim, if what, by the pasuk of Batim, right? Lo Yimatze, Bal Yatmin, Bal Yikabel V'gdoinos Min Anachrim. Afsar hom begvulim, so too this or sar begvulim. Okay, that's chumrah. Now the other way is a kula. Umasar hom begvulim shalchoya teroya avataroya shalachirim b'shal gavaya. Afsar hom bebatim also shalchoya teroya the avataroya shel achirim b'shal gavaya. Okay, stop over here. Okay, tomorrow again. I won't be here for Shabbos.